Hey. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of More or Less. This week I am joined by independent R&B artist Thuy. Thuy has an acoustic EP on the way. We had such a good conversation, y'all. I'm really excited for you all to hear it. To stay updated with Thuy, be sure to follow her at THUY Music, more or less. These days, we can all use more energy, and Mind Plus Beauty's Wellness Facial Oils will give you the energy boost you need. So whether you're heading off to exercise, going for a run, or just having a busy day, simply add the Beauty of Energy oil to your face and experience more gain, less pain. It's the all-natural way to enhance your energy level, and it's made for everyone. Good for your face and good for you. Available with free shipping at mindplusbeauty.com. That's mind, Plus beauty.com. Welcome to the show, Thuy.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Miss Jess.
Of course.
I love the name, by the way. More or less with Jess.
Thank you.
It's like you get what you get. Don't really know today. Maybe you'll get more. Maybe you'll get less.
So we always ask our guests, how are you feeling, more or less?
Oh, man. I'm tired. I'm tired, a little anxious, but not because of this. Just anxious because I think I'm tired.
Okay.
So it's like I'm like feeling all my feelings. And also I haven't had any sleep. My sister just gave birth. And it's my first nephew in the family, my parents' first grandchild. So I'm doing my part as an auntie to like relieve my sister as much as possible. So I've been taking the night shifts and I just flew back this morning and I'm a little delirious. I'm not going to lie.
We will get the unfiltered tweet.
No, either it's going to be super chill or it'll be very unhinged today. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where the questions get me.
More or less. We just,
Exactly.
And the follow-up always is, what do you need more of and what do you need less of?
Ooh, I need more sleep.
I knew it. I cannot tell you how many times
do people say
show,
that a lot?
Yep.
Okay, wait, no,
they say tired, more sleep. But you can totally, that's what you're feeling.
I need more movies. Like, I want to sit on the couch and watch a movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to just, like, binge watch a show and just escape.
What was the last movie you watched?
Well, I fall asleep at all the movies that I watch. Was it Guardians of the Galaxy that we started?
Well, Spider-Man.
I slept through both. I'm not going to lie.
I can't ask you how it was.
Yeah. I didn't really like it from what I remember. But Guardians of the Galaxy, I just watched maybe like a week and a half ago, but not really watched because I fell asleep. But from what I could remember, it was good. I need less stimulation.
Ooh.
Social media stimulation.
Okay.
You know?
Like screen time.
Yeah.
Less screen time.
Yeah.
Do you check the...
Yeah, they send me one probably every week.
I'd rather not know. I've said this. We had another guest on the show, Maud Latour, and she's incredible. But she was talking about how like she's super addicted to her phone and like knows the screen time. And I was like, you can't. Like,
I know. And also it's just like, it sucks when it's your job too. So you try to like be active on there, but sometimes it can be really not just draining. It could be just very toxic, you know? And for the most part, I feel like I get very positive like comments and everything, but then you'll definitely get those occasional things that just like will hurt your feelings because we're human. Yeah. And then I've had a couple videos like go viral recently too. So it's just like an outpour of comments that I did not ask for, you know? But again, when people like see things go that big, they're kind of like, I'm just gonna unfilter myself and say whatever I want. And sometimes that can be really, that just sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So I think right now I'm just like overstimulated with like so many comments and so many messages that it's like I just want to turn it off sometimes. Right. And I'm the type of person that like will not let an email go unopened. So I feel like I take that into social media as well, where I check every single comment, every single message. And that's kind of the way that I came up, was like making sure that I nurtured every relationship with each fan. Because for me, that's really important to like build that foundation from the beginning. But I feel like it's now coming to a point where maybe I should not do that so much and not make myself so available to receive these negative comments, you know what I mean? And like kind of just shut it off. And like it gets to a certain point where it's like, you really don't need to read the comments anymore, you know? But also that balance of like, well, it's important to also know what people are saying so that you can like brand things a certain way, or like if you want to tell a story, or like just listening to your fans, you know what I mean? So I think I'm kind of struggling with that a little bit.
I've spoken to artists too about like even DMs feeling accessible and feeling like you want to nurture that relationship with your fans, but as you grow into a bigger artist and your plate is so full and you have so many things to do, like it's not realistic to reply to every single DM that you have.
Totally. And I get messages when I reply back to people. They're like, "Is this the real tweet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is me." Like I've had people think that I have like a social media manager, but I don't, because I love social media too. Like I would be lying if I didn't say I loved it. But also when you're doing really good on there, it opens the doors up to a lot of opinions, which can get really draining and kind of makes you want to just like shut it all off. But then also like I don't want to shut off the line of communication between like, you know, my fans that actually really, really support me. And so I'm all about always just making sure I pay it forward and like show them that I care and that I really, really am so grateful for their support. So there's like a fine line, you know, of like making myself accessible, but not like overly exert myself to the point where I burn myself out. But for now, we don't have a social media manager. But maybe in the future, I don't know. I'm also like very hands-on with things. It's hard for me to like delegate that part, because like the personal aspect of like connecting with your fans is so personal that I'm like, I don't know if I can like allow somebody else to have that voice for me, you know?
Aside from performing live or meeting fans in person, like that is the most intimate connection that you can foster is through social media. Like there isn't really any other way to go about that. And given COVID, that is an outlet for artists to use as a relationship builder. So I kind of agree with you. Like if you delegate that to someone else, it kind of adds another layer of like a wall between you and your fan base, whether they know it or not that it's a social media manager. Like it's also someone else using your voice or trying to use your voice online. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah, I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah. I think maybe there's a balance of like, maybe I'll take the shifts here. And then like if I feel a little bit burnt out because my plate is really full, then having somebody else kind of take over for me. But I don't think I'll ever like have my hands off of that. Because again, I'm an independent artist. Like I know how important that is to nurture every relationship, because these are the people that are going to stay and buy your tickets for life, right? Totally. So, and it's not even just that. It's just like having that connection with your fans is important, because when you're releasing your music, knowing that people are actually going to listen to it, you feel fulfilled, because you're like, dang, I made this song for myself, but hopefully somebody else listens to it. And then when you have these people that have been with you since the start, like supporting you for every release, it's a beautiful thing. And like it makes me want to keep going, because these are the people who kind of like fueled it from the beginning.
So you're having many moments of virality right now. How are you managing that, balancing that? I feel like nobody ever expects to go. Nobody like expects to go viral.
You don't.
So what is that emotional roller coaster like?
Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, when you make these videos, do you know like they're gonna go viral? I'm like, no, not at all. I make them because I'm like, oh, this is a cool storyline and I think it's funny to me, or like it's interesting to me, because I feel like I have a pretty good sense of like what people are going to gravitate towards, because I'm very like highly active on social media. So it's like I feel like if I relate to something, then a lot of people might also relate to the same thing. But you don't really ever know, right? When you post, you're just like, I hope, you know, but then also sometimes when it does go that viral, you're like, oh, kind of just want to shut it off, you know, because again, it's really, really difficult to navigate sometimes if you don't have a support system behind you. And thankfully, I do have people who love me and like tell me, dude, don't listen to what they're saying. And even though I feel like I have a good head on my shoulders, it is really hard. We're all human. Things hurt us. The things people say are just so unwarranted and also just like so untrue that sometimes it can like not make you see reality sometimes, you know, especially if like multiple people seem to say it. But then also we forget that 1,000 other comments are so positive, but then those two like comments, harp on it, right? But I think the way I deal with it is really just taking it day by day. And I'm still learning, to be honest. I'm still learning. I am grateful that I have a team behind me that loves me and like supports me through it all. But I think anxiety isn't something that will ever just go away. It's something you have to practice and work on. And even for myself, like it's funny because like at each stage that I feel like I um accomplish, right? Like or like different like levels of anxiety that I feel like I've overcome, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So like then a new type of anxiety kind of like unfolds and then you have to like learn how to deal with that. So I don't think anxiety ever just fully goes away because there's like new things to kind of be anxious about. Um so right now I'm kind of learning how to deal with that type of anxiety of like, ooh, like now a lot of people know me behind Girls Like Me Don't Cry, and then like just a whole whirlwind of people coming in and out and like saying these things that like just hurt sometimes, you know, but I don't think you'll ever fully learn how to like deal with anxiety. It's just kind of like coping with it, because it just constantly evolves sometimes into newer like anxieties as like my career grows.
Yep.
If that makes sense. I don't know. It's
No,
like,
I think it makes sense. It totally makes sense. As someone with an anxiety disorder, absolutely makes sense.
mhm.
I think anxiety is one of those things that we all deal with on a spectrum level. Like there are moments where it's more intense than other times in your life, but it's all about finding ways to manage it or mitigate it. And I agree with you. I don't think it completely goes away. There's just times where it's louder and there's other times where it's more
Yeah.
quiet.
How do you deal with it? Like your anxiety?
Don't put me in this hot seat like this.
No, but because
No,
I
how do
should
I
go to
deal?
therapy and like figure out some like just skills, you
Have
know?
you ever gone to therapy?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't.
Are you
but I
open
should.
to it?
I'm
Or?
totally am. Yeah. I think it's just like my life's so busy that it's hard to like sit down and actually look for that and be actively looking for it. Maybe it's the anxiety part of like, oh, I have to do it. And like,
Unfortunately, in this country, it is incredibly difficult to find a therapist. And when
Yeah.
you do, it's almost like dating. You have to
Totally,
pick
that's
the
what
one
I
that
hear.
you fit with and you gel with.
yeah.
I mean, I wish it was more accessible. I wish it was more inclusive. I wish it was affordable. There's so many things I could talk about when it comes to therapy. I've been in therapy for 10 years now, since I was a kid, basically. But I have felt that therapy only works when you're open to it. If you're not open to it, or someone's like forcing you to go, or if you're in couples therapy and like one person wants to be there and someone else doesn't want to, like it's not gonna have the outcome that it should. But I think at some point, like everyone in their life could really benefit from a period in therapy to just learn more about yourself and what makes you you. But to answer your question about anxiety, I have found that my anxiety manifests like physically sometimes. So I get it, a lot of it in like my stomach, my chest. So I'll have well, females are deeply connected. I think it's like the left side of your belly like is all your feminine energy, and that's
Oh my
deeply
gosh.
connected. So that's
Okay.
why anxiety is rooted there. For a lot of women, yoga changed my life.
Okay.
That is something that if you asked me a couple years ago, I would have never tried it. I would have been, because I have never really been into meditation or yoga. And then when I opened myself up to it a little bit more, it has been really great to just flow in a state where I don't have to think about anything other than like my current movement.
Okay.
So giving myself time to do that has been really helpful for my anxiety. I'm openly on medication. A lot of people in my life know that. That's been helpful. But I think too, just carving out that 1 hour a week for therapy is life-changing. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But it's just helpful to learn about yourself, anxiety or not, like just to learn pieces of you from your past that impact your present and your future and what you can do to improve certain parts of your life.
That's awesome. I wish I like thought about that more as a kid, but like it wasn't something that my parents like, you know what I mean, talked about a lot.
Yep.
And even like mental health isn't really discussed in like the Vietnamese community. And I wish I had that type of nurturing growing up too, because I think a lot of like the trauma that I feel like is unfolding in my adulthood has stemmed from like my childhood.
Absolutely.
And despite how great my parents are, like there's still things that like I've dealt with as a child that I feel like are manifesting into my adulthood. And I feel like a lot of times my thing is like to kind of push it away and sweep it under the rug. And even with my parents, like when something would happen, we just sweep it right under the rug and act like nothing ever happened. So I feel like it's hard for me sometimes to, even though I am very emotional, like I'm a Scorpio double Cancer, like I am very emotional and in tune with my feelings, but I don't like to acknowledge that I'm upset sometimes or that I'm irritated or whatever, because I like to just act like everything's okay.
Like a mask.
And I think that that's not okay too. And I know that, but it's hard for me to be like all the way vulnerable with like people around me, because I don't want to, I don't ever want to bring the mood down. I think that's like the thing too. It's like I don't want people to like feel my anxiety or feel my sadness, because I don't want people to like feel bad about the day, you know? So sometimes it's easy for me to kind of just push it away, but then I feel like sometimes I don't have the energy to just push it away the entire day.
But then it's like, so then when do you unpack it?
Yeah, I know.
And then you don't.
Yeah.
And then that shows up in how you treat people and how you react to things, like your own anxieties. By choosing to not acknowledge it, you're acknowledging it in like subconsciously.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I have said over the years, what has helped me is to actually say it and let it go. Like if I'm feeling anxious, anyone who's around me, I'm saying I'm anxious. Even in the mirror, like I'm anxious today, and at least I said it, I named it, and I put it there, and it's no longer just up here. So if I like put it out in the ether that I am acknowledging where I'm at, I feel a little bit better because then it's not stuck in here anymore.
True.
So it's interesting to hear you say, like, you know, I sweep it under the rug, because that's how it was growing up for me too, just sweep it under the rug. But the second I started to acknowledge more of my emotions, I felt like I was becoming a more emotionally healthy person rather than just like, whatever, because it wasn't whatever. The things that happened in childhood weren't whatever.
Yeah.
But you grow up that way. So I hear you totally. Do you feel like that mask of everything's okay applies like in how you approach business in music?
Not in music. I feel like music is kind of a way for me to just like unpack everything. I really love like the creating aspect of music, because I feel like it is my own little therapy session.
And that's your outlet.
It is my outlet, you know, but it is like trying to navigate the music business things of everything is really difficult, you know, because like that wasn't something that I was used to growing up, and like my parents don't even really understand fully like what I'm doing. But I think I do acknowledge when, I will say I'm very proud of myself for being able to acknowledge my faults and like apologizing when I know that I'm wrong, because I feel like that is also really hard to just apologize when you've just haven't been the best version of yourself. But I do feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve despite pushing away. It's weird. I don't know. I feel like I can be both at one time. But it's usually I feel like I'm more vulnerable with people that aren't as close to me, which I think is why I make music, because then people from all over the world can hear it and they don't really know who I am. So I don't feel bad, I guess, about being vulnerable, but then like I wouldn't go and be vulnerable with like my close friend.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So then what happens if you like show your close friends your music?
I don't. I just allow them to listen on their own, you know? I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Because you don't want them to see that side of you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because even like if I'm like hanging out with my girlfriends, it takes a lot for me to want to get vulnerable. Like I feel like I'm very, very closed off until I feel comfortable with somebody. And then like, then I'll just unpack everything, which I probably shouldn't on them either. But it's like no balance. It's either like you don't get all of me or you get all of me. But I feel like for the most part, I'm just very to myself, and I don't reveal a lot about my emotions to people. And I feel like I have different characters, you know, like my music allows me to like play that. But then in my normal life, I feel like I'm just very quiet until I get comfortable with somebody. And then I just unpack all my trauma.
You know what I'm thinking about, like, as you're saying this, because we were talking earlier about your new nephew.
Uh-huh.
What do you envision that relationship to be like, given that you're saying, like, you're kind of
Yeah.
closed off with people close to you? Like, now you have this new beautiful
I've thought about
being.
that. I've actually thought about that this weekend. I'm like, I want him to be so free and open, and like I want him to call me and like tell me the things that he's going through, and I want to be there for him. And kind of like break that like generational
The
curse.
cycle.
Yeah, and the cycle of just like closing out your feelings. But I don't know why it's hard for me to do it. But it's easier for me to do it for other people.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard for me to be open, but it's easier for me to be that person for other people.
For other people.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm very like, I'll try to get to the root of things. Like when people tell me their problems, I'm like, okay, I'll be like attentively listening, and then I'll try to like get down to the root of the cause. Like, okay, I think this is how they were feeling, and yada yada yada. And I don't know, I feel like I have a really good intuition. Like almost sometimes I feel like I'm psychic.
Yeah.
And like I have a really good gut instinct about certain things, but also sometimes it can get confusing with my anxiety. As of lately. Yeah. It's been harder to trust my gut because my anxiety blurs the lines.
Well, because you also now have like thousands of millions of people that now have a window into who you are.
And I used to trust my gut a lot more. Now I find myself asking people like, hey, I don't really know. Because I'm very sure of myself. Like anyone who knows me, I'm very like, once I've made my mind up, that's what we're doing. But as of recently, like even something tiny, I'm like, oh, I have something tomorrow. I don't really know what I should talk about or whatever. But maybe that's healthy because sometimes I tend to just take things on myself and like I'm strong for myself. But sometimes maybe it's okay to be vulnerable and say like, hey, I'm kind of
second guessing.
See, that's the thing. I don't know.
Because it doesn't sound like second guessing. It sounds like you're just bouncing things off to other people.
I think you're right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I can relate in more so a second guessing way where I find, I don't know what the hell happened during COVID, but I was so independent and sure of myself before COVID. And then now ever since, I like ask people my opinions on outfits, like way more than I ever did. That I kind of lost parts of myself that I now second guess and feel like I need someone else's okay for certain things. Whereas in your situation, it sounds more so, okay, let me like bounce this off of somebody else and see what they
I think
say.
You're right. Wow, you're really good. No.
Are we like getting somewhere here?
Yeah,
Like...
yeah, totally. Yeah, but I think it's hard. It's hard when you're not. I feel like I'm emotionally intelligent towards other people, like you know. But then for myself, I feel like I'm not as emotionally intelligent as I could be.
Okay.
Which would be like, you know, acknowledging feelings and just being okay to like be weak around other people. I don't want to say weak. It's not even weakness. But... It's like, it's just weird because like growing up, honestly, like I grew up with like very traditional parents where like you never told them you were sad. Like I don't even remember. That's actually insane. I never told my parents I was sad. I've never told my parents I was sad.
Girls like me don't cry.
Yeah.
That title alone
like that's kind of like, insane, right? Like that you've never told your parents like, hey, I don't feel good today. And not like my stomach hurts, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't feel good today mentally or emotionally. And I've never told my parents that. Which is really interesting. Because like even in my adulthood now, like it's hard sometimes to have conversations with my parents about like the superficial things are fine. It's
the deep stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that wasn't a thing growing up.
So I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it manifests sometimes in my relationships that are close to me.
Yeah.
Because
that's all you knew.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like being gentle with that and acknowledging that like that's what you grew up around was more of a superficial relationship, not anything like below the surface.
Yeah.
And that makes sense that you would show up in other relationships like that.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. So you still feel that way now with your parents?
I do, because also there's a language barrier.
Okay.
and I don't speak the best Vietnamese, and they don't speak the best English. So it's hard sometimes to have deep conversations because when I try to have them, like I sound like a child, and that I don't really know what I'm saying. And then because I don't know how to say it in Vietnamese, I think they think that I'm like still childish about certain things, or like I don't understand fully like life, you know? Um so that sucks too.
Yeah.
Of like not being able to fully communicate with your parents. It's like honestly the only thing we really talk about is like, oh, what do you want to eat? Oh, are you going here? Oh, you're going to perform here. When are you going to come home? And then when it's home, it's kind of like we talk about my dog, or we talk about like what's going on with the shows, but we don't talk about like, oh, how are you? Like my dad will sometimes say like, make sure you get some rest. And then I feel like of course, like their love language is cooking me food because they know how tired I am. So they're like, that's my way of
expressing love,
telling you that I love you,
Yeah.
And I appreciate that too, because I mean, they lived in Vietnam like for most of their adulthood. So they never had, that support of like talking about your mental health too, right? So
Definitely
it's just
not
a
with their
cycle
parents, right?
yeah. So it's like, I think for me, the next generation, like I want to break that cycle. And that's something that I'm very like, even with my brothers and sisters, like I try to communicate with them about their feelings and like things that they're going through and even then it's sometimes awkward, but I know that like when it's awkward, it's like we're growing, like we're kind of breaking that barrier.
Yeah, and having a nephew now also opens that door. Like we were saying, like you're able to really manifest that connection into what you want for the next generation.
Yeah.
That's a really beautiful thing that
I
you're
know,
going to
I'm
be
really
able
excited.
to do that. Oh, that's so amazing.
Thanks.
Do you feel like your health needs to be scheduled into your day? Our morning coffee, our supplements, our skincare, we're limited on the products that help us maintain a balanced lifestyle in an easy, healthy, and convenient way. So our friends at Neuro Gum Mints did exactly that with their nootropic blends that enhance your health and wellness into something intrinsically convenient, affordable, and portable. We at More or Less have loved these energy and focus mints with a patented formula of B vitamins, L-theanine, and natural caffeine to give us the energy and mental endurance necessary to stay focused and energized without the crash or jitters. I've been hyping up Neuro for quite some time, so I'm super excited to partner with them for another season of More or Less. If you'd like Neuro by your side too, use the link in our description and use code More or Less for 10% off your first purchase of Neuro Gum Mints. So, talk to me about how this year has been on your mental health, like the past couple months, because you were on the road a little bit.
So I went on my tour, and then I had like a week off, and then I went on Ella's tour, which was like 40 shows.
Yeah.
Mine was like 20 shows. And then also I love my dog. Like if anyone knows, I am obsessed with Oliver. And for these periods where I was traveling a lot, I had to leave him at my parents' house, and I was really grateful for that, but also not having that connection with him really took a toll on my mental health at times. And then also like for my tour, it was great. Like it was very fulfilling every night because you get that energy back from your fans, right? But when you're opening up for an artist where people don't know you, it can be really draining. And also just like my fight or flight instincts were always like, and it was really nerve-wracking going on stage sometimes because I was like, oh my God, these people hate me. They're probably like, why are you here? But you have to just do it. You have to go on stage. And I feel like I got a lot stronger mentally too from how I first came on tour than how I ended tour, of just like, I don't care. Like, if you love me, you love me. If you don't, I don't care. Right. And I feel like that was something I needed to do in my career to get myself out of my comfort zone, because for a lot of my career, it was like I was doing shows where people did know me, or like, the shows that I went to, they booked me because, there was people who wanted me to be there. So I feel like that's a different energy than when you're going into something that no one knows who you are. Maybe like a couple people know, but no one really knows. And in the beginning, it did kind of take a little bit on my mental health of just like not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. And then my team's just like, Thuy, you're here for a reason. She picked you out of any other opener. Like, you are here for a reason. And I had to like cement that into my mind. And I think every single night that I got out there and did something that just scared me, I feel like I got a lot stronger. But I do feel like the balance again of like, oh my gosh, like you're going from city to city to city. And at first we were like, we are going to get so in shape. The first 2 weeks we were great, worked out every single day, ate at home because we stayed at Airbnbs with our team.
Oh,
and
that's great. Because
it
I was
was
going to
really
say,
cool.
I feel like when you're on the road, your diet just kind of like.
Oh, but it got worse. Like after the 2 weeks, nobody went to the gym. We're like, give me a beer. Where are the snacks at? And after the show, we'd be off the high. So we're like, let's drink and let's eat. And then let's do it all over again, right? And then it manifested into my own body. Like I gained weight. I got like hormonal acne. And then also when you don't feel good about the way that you look, like it doesn't feel good just kind of existing sometimes because you're just like, you don't feel healthy. So it's crazy because like you have like on the outside, it's like, oh my gosh, she's doing so much. But then for me, I felt like I wasn't all the way where I wanted to be. So now that I'm off tour and I get to focus on being with Ollie, focus on my mental health, focus on my physical health, I feel like I'm at a way better place. I think I'm such a homebody. Like I just love doing things that even the little things in life. Like I love the little things in life. And I think when you're moving around so fast, it's hard to appreciate all the little things that are happening, even though they're happening, but it's hard because then you're like, I got to get through this show. So now I feel like I'm at a better place of just like appreciating like, oh my God, the morning walks, the morning coffees, pickleball, Legree, like all these little things, right? Because when I do these things, it makes me feel good. And as much as I love performing, I feel like there needs to be a balance of like I get my workouts in, and that's also just like being diligent and also being really disciplined. And it's really, really hard to be disciplined on the road. But this whole year was definitely filled with so many ups and downs. Like I cried a lot. There's so many breakthroughs in my career that I never felt like could happen, but I knew could happen. But you never prepare for these things because they just happen out of the blue. So you could be in a really bad mental state and this is happening. So you're like masked with like the elation of like all of this happening, and then you push away the things that you've been dealing with because this is happening. Does that make sense?
You're preaching to the
highs,
choir.
the highs in
Because
life.
I felt that way even with this podcast.
Totally.
Like there's been times where it's been doing really well, or we are in recording and like we've had a really good episode, but mentally I've just been like not there and not present.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Like, because there's not really much you can do other than power through it and try to enjoy it. But it's really hard to do that when you're not in the right space.
Totally. And I think also it's kind of been okay to just be anxious and not be in a good place. And sometimes like I'm not in a good place like for multiple days. Like before it was like maybe a couple hours, a day max, right? And then the next day I'm usually fine. But this industry is tough. Like I have way more anxiety than I did before I made music, you know? And I do miss those parts of just like, oh, this is just so much fun. And it is fun at times. Like, and I think it's fun when I get to travel with my friends and we get to do these shows and we get to experience like so much of life together. Cause for me, I love family and I love that my team is really family. Like, yes, I pay you guys to be here, but also we have such a good time together and they feel like my brothers, my sister. And that's the moments that I value the most, right? And then on top of that, you get to like perform in front of thousands of people and they like, just their energy just really keeps me fulfilled and alive, I feel like. But it is really hard too, because then you think to yourself like, but am I okay after all that is said and done? Right? And I'm just trying to also be okay with not being okay and just like, okay, it's been a couple days and I still don't feel okay. It's fine. I know that I'll be okay soon. And I think that kind of allows me to keep going, but it sucks too because in what I'm doing, especially being an independent artist where like all the decisions are made through me, even when you're not feeling good, you have to attend to like all the list of things that you have to attend 100%. To. And sometimes you can say, hey, like I'm not in a good place right now. Let's revisit this tomorrow because I don't want to make decisions just because I'm like whatever and regret them later. But sometimes you do want to do that because you're just like, I don't even want to deal with this right now. But I know how picky I am about things where I'm like, I I know that if I'm making a decision, I need to be like fully there versus just being like not care about it in the moment and then later on say like, what happened? Why did I allow this to happen? But it's hard balancing that because then you feel anxious and you don't feel good, but then you have your business to run.
And that's the part that I was going to say is like being able to do what you love, and music is what you love. And like I work in music too, and it's something that I have such a strong passion for, but then that becomes your income and it's your livelihood, and it gets very sticky very quickly.
It really does.
Because again, like it's on you to make the decisions for your career and do all the things, but then still have a love for it and still feel passionate about it.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people talk about that.
They don't actually. You're totally right.
The tie between passion and income is not something everyone can do. Yeah. That's why people have a day job and, you know, they explore their passions outside of that. And music, it's just such a weird, bizarre industry where like we all just love music so much, and that's why we're here. But it's a freaking grind.
It is a grind.
And it can get blurred and you can get jaded very quickly because of the ecosystem and the politics and all the BS aside.
Yeah.
But yet you still have to love it. And that's why you came into it.
Yeah. I think the way that I kind of stay grounded and continue to love it, even sometimes when I don't love it, is because I get to do it with my friends. My DJ and my boyfriend, who co-writes on the songs with me, we moved to LA together about like 4 to 5 years ago, and we live together now, and we travel everywhere. And I know that sometimes people are like, you shouldn't mix business with pleasure or whatever. But for me, that's what works because I know these people care about me outside of the music. And I think that like when I can have a community where I'm like expressing to them, dude, this sucks because so-and-so, or like I'm dealing with this, and then they can understand. And then also when you're having that high and we can all enjoy it together, that makes it fun for me. So I think always having that grounding aspect within this entire space has helped me a lot to just like continue enjoying it, because I think if I didn't have them, I would feel really lost, you know? Yeah. So I think it's really important, like if you're going to get in this industry, you have to make sure that the people around you, and that's why it's important to also build things from the ground up with people who believe in you. Not like, you know, get to a certain point where then everybody, of course, will want to be on your team, but like what?
No, you gotta find your people.
You gotta find your people, yeah. But also like the making music part is the part that really, really fuels me and makes me happy. And for a minute, like I was getting in the studio here and there, and I wasn't really making anything that I loved, and it was getting really frustrating. But I think because I wasn't open to it at the time, because I felt like I didn't have anything else to say and I was forcing it. But as of recently, I've gotten back in the studio and like really just making fun music. Because where I'm at in my life right now, I'm like, I don't want to make sad music, you know? I don't want to make music about my ex. I want to make music about living life with the person I love and just like being in that state, right? So I find a lot of happiness through making the music, because again, it goes down to music. Like it always comes back to the music. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the music. So I always try to think like, go back to your roots, you know, and like what really makes you happy, and the creation process of everything makes me really happy. But the business aspect, like I don't think will ever be fun. Like you just have to surround yourself with people that don't really make you anxious.
And I think it comes back to like life's too short to not enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's so simple of a saying, but it's really true.
Yep, and it's harder to follow through on it.
Yeah,
like
it
when
is.
life gets in the way.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice in terms of like being with your people and knowing that they're going to root for you no matter what, win, lose. I think that's important in any career, really. Like finding a good support system that can uplift you, because that's really like the key to feeling okay in where you're at, is having people around you. I hear you 100%. So to close out, I ask one final question, and that is, what is something you've done today, this week, to take care of your mental health?
Today, I just woke up at like 11.
Wait, what time was your flight?
I woke up at like 6, and then I took an Uber to the airport at like 7, I think. And then I got through at like 7:30, and then we flew at like 8:30. Got home at 9:30, and then had some breakfast, then fell asleep until No, I fell asleep till 1. So I was out, and I was like a little baby. I was so happy to just be in bed and like sprawled out. Um, what have I been doing this week? Oh, you know what? I've really been enjoying pickleball. And
I was gonna ask you about that. I've been trying. I want my boyfriend and I to learn how to play.
you're gonna love it. Are you good at ping pong at all?
I
I'm
would
not.
say so.
Okay,
I don't
so
know
you're
if
gonna
other
kill
people
it.
would say
You
so,
are gonna
but
kill
I
it
would say
because
so.
I'm not good at any ball sports.
I played softball for like 8 years.
No, I wrestled. Like I'm a contact person. Like, you know what I mean? I don't do balls or like I can't.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at badminton. I'm bad at ping pong. I'm bad at tennis. So I was surprised that I was decent at pickleball, but I really like it because it's a good workout. But also, like when I'm playing it with my friends, we don't think about anything. You know, and I could be out there for like 3 hours and I'm not thinking about, oh, I got to do this or I got to answer this or whatever. I'm just like,
You're in the
who's
zone.
next? Who want the smoke? You know, like I'm ready. I'm ready for it all. And it's really cool too because there's such a community with pickleball. Like there's people from, you know, early 20s, even younger, to like some grandmas out there.
I've heard. It's a whole
But it's
community
awesome
effort.
because like recently I've had like conversations with like older women there, and they'll come up to me and like I'm in my little short shorts and they're like, "Oh, you're so cute." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, hi." And they're like, "What do you do?" And they'll talk to me about their lives and they're like the sweetest people ever. And then you're like, "Okay, let's play." And then they're like slamming on you and they're like so good.
That's so fun.
But I think it's so cool to like be a part of a community that just is really inclusive and everybody's just out there having a good time. And I love that it's also a really good workout. But I think that that's really helped me keep myself active. And when I'm active, I feel like I'm more mentally stable. Like I feel like I can go through the day more easier, I guess. But
with
then
like a clearer head.
Yeah, with a clearer head. But it sucks sometimes because then when you're in a bad place, you just want to like lay in bed, which is okay too. Which is okay. I've done it multiple times. I've like blinds closed, ordered like 2 different types of DoorDash, watch reality TV.
We've all been there.
Bring the food. I'm like I'm like a little rat, you know? Like my roommate, he's like, "Is it that time again?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'll like grab my little Caesars and my Popeyes and I'll like scurry to my room with like all my food and then I'll just be so happy, you know? And sometimes I need to do that too. But I know for the most part, like my body reacts better when I'm like, and my mind reacts better when I'm active. But also it's kind of hard to get yourself to be active when you're in a weird place. But thankfully, all my friends are obsessed with pickleball right now.
It's quite the trend.
It is.
And you might have convinced me when I
You need to go. You're going to have the best time.
I got to do like a beginner class and
Yeah.
then see how it rolls.
No, you don't. You don't even need a beginner. You just go in there, girl.
Just go.
Just go.
Throw me into the fire.
I'm telling you, pickleball athletes, because I'm an athlete,
self-proclaimed,
are literally the nicest people, and they just want everybody to learn the sport. I've learned is like they just love it when people come and like want to play and learn. So everybody that's there will teach you. They love to teach. So it's really fun and you'll catch on after the first hit. Like it's really not that hard.
All right, I'm going to go home and join the Facebook group from my neighborhood.
There you go.
Pickleball Facebook group.
Yeah. This will be a good way for you and your boyfriend to bond too. Unless
that's what
unless he's really competitive, then he'll like, me and my boyfriend don't really play a lot together anymore. I like to play against him because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show you all the skills that I learned, you know?
I'm trying to tell him it's like Wii tennis. That was my pitch.
Wii? I've never had a Wii, but Wii tennis always looks so much fun.
It was very fun.
Are you good at tennis?
No.
Oh, okay. You're good at Wii tennis.
I'm good at Wii tennis.
Virtual.
It's a very different kind of tennis.
Same thing. You're going to love it. It's so much fun.
All right. If you're watching this, put in the comments if you've played pickleball and your thoughts. Because
Yes.
I want to know from the masses what everyone's thoughts are. I have a friend that's very frustrated by the pickleball fad.
My friend just sent me a TikTok of like the stages of pickleball, and it's like the first stage is like denial, which is what she's
Denial.
going through.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a certain stage where you're like literally obsessed. And then you're like buying everything. You have pickle shirts.
I'll let you know in 6 months, like, where she's at in
Oh
her
yeah,
pickleball journey.
in October you'll see me on Instagram. I'm gonna have like all my friends show up to the courts in a pickle costume, and we're gonna get really drunk and we're gonna play pickleball, and it's gonna be the best day ever. So I'm really excited. October 30th, 31st needs to come
Okay.
ASAP. That's like what I'm looking forward to.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And on that note,
On that
thanks
note,
for coming by.
thank you, Jess.
This was so fun. Thank you.
So much fun.
Thuy.
Mwah.